Hey everyone, I'm Red, and today I'm going to be ranking the Despicable Me/Minions franchise in anticipation for the Rise of Gru movie coming out on June 30th. A quick note before we start, as a 27-year-old, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for these movies. I only saw the first one once or twice growing up. I realized these movies were directed more towards young kids and not adults, so I really kept that in mind while watching and ranking these movies. But I feel like every movie, especially a kid's movie, should have a really good moral lesson and impact its audience in a positive way. I'm sure all of you have your own opinions and rankings, so please let me know down in the comments. I plan on doing an updated ranking when the new movie comes out, so please consider subscribing if you don't want to miss it. I would really appreciate it as it helps out so much. So let's get started. Alright, so in last place is Minions. I was pretty nervous going into this as I've never really heard a positive thing about this movie, but I was actually really impressed. This movie blew my low expectations out of the water. It had a pretty cool premise from the start. The minions being born to serve their master and then failing to do so was a good idea. There were some funny scenes with them killing off their masters throughout time and scattered throughout the movie. It's a real tribute to Gru that he survived this long with the minions by his side. I didn't think I would laugh as many times as I did in this movie. I thought the minions would get old really quick, but they weren't too horrible. I don't know if I want to watch this movie over and over again, but it was serviceable. I like the minions as characters, but I feel like they work best as a side or a dessert, not the main course. And this movie really needed some more great side characters to help them along. It had some unexpected callbacks to the other films, which I really liked. The end with the giant minion was a pretty great idea, I'm not gonna lie, and it led to some cool moments. The family that they met at the beginning of the film on the road was really fun, and it was sad that they weren't more prominent in the film. Casting Sandra Bullock as Scarlet Overkill was a good idea, and she had some fun moments, but she wasn't as entertaining as the other villains in the franchise, in my opinion. VillainCon was a little silly. I don't think all the villains would really gather in one place, but it led to some really fun and interesting characters. The setting in 1968 UK was pretty interesting, but the minions felt a little bit misplaced. I feel like the 80s or 90s would have been funnier and the music would have worked a little better for the kids, even though I really appreciated the old rock and roll, personally. But with a different setting, then we wouldn't have got the wonderful scene with young Gru at the end. The story was okay with the minions looking for a master, but once they were crowned king and royalty, it kind of lost me, at least story-wise. I can suspend reality, especially for a kids movie, but that was kind of silly. I wish there was a little more heart and soul inside the movie. It stinks of a big cash grab, which it really was, honestly. But this movie was a lot better than I thought it would be, although I don't know if I'll be rushing off to see it again. So in fourth place it goes. In third I have Despicable Me 2. I know this is a lot of people's favorite film in the franchise, and I can totally understand that as it has a lot of positives. I just personally enjoyed some of the other films a little bit more. Getting into more detail, I thought the purple minions were terrifyingly awesome. I really like the character design, and they pose a hilarious threat throughout the end battle, which is really cool. El Macho was a really cool villain, but he didn't really show up a whole lot till the end, and I wanted a little bit more from him. And when he did show up, he didn't really pose that big of a threat. He was taken out super easily. Christian Wiig's character is really dramatic and over the top, but it does work well within this franchise and a kid's film. The love story was lacking in chemistry, but again, it works within the movie, I suppose. The scenes with Gru as a family man were good, but I feel like there wasn't enough of it in the movie, and I feel like the three kids kind of took a back seat, which was a real big bummer because I really liked their dynamic and their characters. The idea of giving the little girls a new mom and Gru a wife was interesting, and I liked the idea, but I feel like the love interest was rushed, and I didn't buy them falling in love so quickly. And even though the little girls are orphans and are desperate to find their motherly figure, I feel like that relationship was rushed as well. I just wish there were a few more scenes with them interacting and getting to know each other and bonding. The storyline of Gru teaming up with the good guys and trying to track someone in the mall was a really cool idea, and I was engaged right away. But it was a little too obvious who the villain was, and I wish they would have taken more advantage of the mall setting and different shop owners. Gru's oldest daughter starting to like boys was an interesting idea, and it was cool to see Gru show off his parenting skills, as iffy as they are. But unfortunately, this movie lacked a deep moral lesson for the most part, and it never really made me emotionally invested. All in all, this movie may be my third pick, but I still think it's a really enjoyable kids movie with some decent adult humor thrown in that I really appreciate. No shade being thrown at it, I just like the other movies a little bit more. In second place is Despicable Me 3. I really liked how this movie focused more on the family aspects a little bit more than the second. I think they developed the family's relationship a lot better and a little bit more believably, especially the mom relationship. It felt a lot more earned than in the last film. The side plot about finding a unicorn was really sweet and hilarious, and it had a really good payoff. The three little girls feel more involved in this one than the previous film, which is a big positive in my book. As I've said previously, I really like their characters. Kristen Wiig's character is a lot more toned down, and I really appreciate that. I got a little bit more invested in what was going on with her. The villain was a ton of fun, and I loved the voice actor they got to play him. Trey Parker is awesome. He had a hilarious backstory and some really goofy fun gadgets to go along with it. And the music and visuals that came with him were amazing. I liked the 80s theme. Kind of like I said previous for the Minions, I feel like that setting just works better, especially for a kids movie. It was a ton of fun to see Gru be villainous again, at least a little bit. He's a lot more fun, in my opinion, when he's creating chaos and actually enjoying himself. It had a surprising amount of adult jokes, probably the most in the whole series, but I personally appreciate that. The end credit song is a little dirty if you listen to the lyrics. And I'm not sure if that's 100% appropriate, but whatever. The storyline about Gru finding out he has a twin was entertaining, and I did not see that coming at all. And it led to a pretty solid moral lesson about not turning back to villainy and the importance of family. In first is Despicable Me 1. Easily my favorite of the series. I think it has the best storyline overall. I really like the dynamic between Gru and the little girls, and I feel like this movie gives us the most of it. The gadgets are all on full display and at their funnest. The plot of stealing the moon was hilarious. Overall, the villain was really solid. He was a goofy Nimrod who kept somehow one-upping Gru, and it was really entertaining. The twist with him being the banker's son was actually kind of surprising. It was a ton of fun watching them go at each other throughout the film. I think this movie balances the Minions with everyone else the best in the franchise. In the other films, they kind of separate from Gru, and it's just not as entertaining, in my opinion. Gru's dog gets the most screen time, and you gotta love that. This movie has a fun original song, but I kept wishing that would come back more in the other movies. I think it has the least Minion singing, which I kind of appreciate. The end of the movie has a great tug-at-your-heartstrings moment with Gru and the little girls. Other than some plot holes, which all these movies have for sure, this one was really solid and easily my favorite of the series. We'll see if the new movie Rise of Gru can top it on June 30th. Please stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more. It helps me out so much, and I would really appreciate it. Have a good one.